Oh, sorry, I wasn't looking. Sorry, thank you.
Get a spot.
Oh, shit, really? Where are you?
Up back over here, like right near that house.
Yeah.
Like as you're pulling out the side street on the right over there near the house. So
There's
there's
one at the bottom. Yeah.
truck is pulling out. Yeah, I had to pick him up again and he's tapping out.
Right.
So it's like I'll get him again.
Recording in progress.
Probably move the table from Val's office pretty.
Oh, that's
easily.
okay. I'm fine. I'm just, I don't want to sit up there and do FinCom
Oh,
and
yeah, okay. I didn't know what you're trying to.
No,
work
it's
over there. Okay.
Hey, guys.
Hello, how are you, Joe?
Good, how are you?
Good. We're good.
All excited for Saturday? Get that over with?
Aren't you looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to being, yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm just praying it doesn't go on forever.
Yeah, this year just seems so long. I mean, an extra 2 months, just sort of waiting for it just seemed like a long time.
Oh, yeah, plus the strength of the articles, which is gonna prolong the event.
Yeah, exactly. It just seemed, oh no, it just seemed like a long year on the political front here. I'm kind of tired.
You still have an election ahead of you.
I know.
Mhm.
I can't believe
Well,
I'm doing that, but I love it. So yeah, we'll just see if people turn out. It's just so weird. It's hard to have these controversial articles in a year when we're voting in June, when no one's done that,
Yeah, and then all the off-island people are here now too, which kind of is weird because they can't vote.
Right.
So, yeah, but many of them are interested in the articles, so they're gonna show up, I think. Yeah.
Well, but then 2 weeks later, we got to have people turn out to vote for, for elected offices. And it's like, and I really think no one's going to come.
Yeah, you could be right. You could be, although I don't know. The elections seem to be holding more weight than they were in the past. Hello, Denise.
Hi,
Hey,
Peter.
Dave.
Hi, Jill. How's it going?
How are you?
Hi, Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Hi. Hey, Joe.
We're just talking about whether people will show up to vote after they show up for town meeting.
You do?
The 15th.
I mean, it's usually what? I want to say about 1,800 to 2,000 people that vote is what I think. About.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I remember the counts of, it was 1,200 to 700 or something. So I
Yeah.
think you get a couple thousand. I guess it depends on the weather, right? Rain and nobody goes.
Except we usually have town meeting before the summer people are here. So it's going to be interesting how many people show up to town meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be. But I mean, people are here early too. I think so.
Yeah.
Hey, Joanna. Hi, Stephen.
Hello, Joanna.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Meeting is not going to take too long, folks. Hey, Terry.
And then we just regroup at 2.
Then we just sign off and click on again at 2:00.
The
same.
Zoom.
I don't know that. It's on the, whatever the,
It's on the Nantucket page. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were 2 links on there. Yeah.
I won't be here at 2.
and we'll miss you desperately. I promise.
No, you're going to miss us, Joanna. That's what you're going to miss.
Denise is taking lunch orders.
Of
So,
course I am. Of course I am. Just like I brought, it's a virtual lunch, like the virtual donuts for budget day. Yeah,
exactly. They were really good.
I know. They're the best I ever served. Hey, Chris.
Afternoon.
So my neighbor's currently leaf blowing his yard with an electric leaf blower, and I can't hear myself think. So
Oh, you're kidding.
yeah, no, it's not any
So it's
different.
loud?
It's connected to a power cord, and it's quite loud. I'm just laughing because
Oh my gosh.
Denise, can I just say that for however things are working these days, this meeting is already being recorded, just so everybody here knows, okay?
yeah, no, I saw that. That's okay. I'm perfectly happy for the recording to know that my neighbor's blowing his
Just
yard.
telling everybody.
Interesting. Very.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Dawn.
Hey, Denise. Hi, all.
Hey, Brian.
Hello, Denise. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. And you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Hey, Libby. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started because we have a quorum and it is 1:01. So I will call the meeting to the 1:00 meeting on June 2nd of the Finance Committee to order. And here we go. We are now using Zoom webinar for meetings, which allows for public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. Attendees must register to participate. The registration link is unique to the meeting. The registration link can be found in the description of the Nantucket Government TV YouTube live feed for the meeting. People registering to be an attendee must use their first and last names, otherwise they will not be allowed to participate in the discussion. Attendees will join in listening mode. They can click raise hand button if they wish to speak. I will call on those who have raised their hands in the order in which they were raised. YouTube chat's no longer enabled, and all questions should be directed through the chair. As a preliminary matter, this is Denise Cronow, Chair of the Nantucket Finance Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Peter Schaefer,
Here.
Jill Veith,
Here.
Chris Glowacki,
Here.
Stephen Morey,
Here.
Joanna Roche,
Here.
Joe Grouse.
Here.
Thank you. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Rick Sears,
Here.
Terry Norton.
Here.
Thank you. Brian Turbot,
Present.
Libby Gibson.
Present.
And Dawn, I will call on you anyway, because I can see you. So, all righty. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the select board, I keep doing that. Finance Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment as previously noted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided by members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. We are now turning to the first agenda on the item, and before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker. After they conclude, I will ask for comments. Further, remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking, and remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. May I get an approval of the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Peter,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Thank you. I will now open it to public comment. And close it to public comment. We have, some things never change. We have 2 minutes to, did everybody get a chance to look at the meeting minutes from the 24th of May? They were very short.
Yep.
Is that a yes? Are you shaking your heads yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
May I get an approval of those minutes, please?
So moved.
Thank you. And that's effectively a second. So here we go again. Peter,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Denise, I. And then we have one change to the minutes of the 23rd of March. There was a percentage sign instead of a dollar sign in front of two amounts. And so that correction needs to be, that correction has been made. And so I need a reapproval of those minutes, please. So may I have,
There is sort of a specific motion for that, and if I can, you want me to read it?
that would be perfect, Terry. Thank you.
Okay, the motion is motion to amend previously adopted FinCom Finance Committee minutes of March 23rd, 2021 as follows. Page 5 of 6, Article 38 discussion. Ms. Cronow's comment to read $6.5 million with borrowing in Article 10 and $7.5 million unappropriate with $1 million left over from Article 10. I do have a question on 7.5 million unappropriate, if that is correct, or if it was supposed to be from appropriations.
Probably should be from appropriations, Terry.
Okay, so that would be the motion from appropriations, the only.
Okay, so can someone make that motion effectively and second it?
So moved.
So moved. Second,
Second.
Thank you. And here we go. Peter,
aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, those are, and Denise, aye, those are approved. Okay, are there any committee reports? Is anyone raising their hand who's on a committee who would like to make a report? And I see none, so we'll move on to technical amendments. And if I may, Brian, I would turn it over to you or Rick, as you like.
Sure, Madam, do you want me to share the screen, Madam Chair, or just take you through it?
I would share the screen for the Finance Committee, please.
That's fine.
Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
So we have one small technical amendment request. It does not impact the bottom line total of the general fund budget. There's something that the community school is no longer going to be managing the timing of the fields and the tennis program. And there was money that was allocated to them the last 2 years as part of the MOU that the town had with the community school in the amount of $50,000. Given the fact that we are taking that back on July 1st, we have proposed reducing the transfer to the community school from the $550,000 to $500,000, which would change the education line items to $27,776,082 for salaries and a bottom line total of $33,376,987. We would propose then that we add that $50,000 into town administration payroll, bringing their total to $1,388,956, thus changing the subtotal for payroll to $7,103,702, and the total budget in general government to $10,637,670. Does not change any of the other numbers, only with respect to those two particular budgets and the subtotals in those two categories. As I mentioned, it's just moving that 50,000 from one department to another, so it does not change the grand total that was voted at the previous FinCom meeting. So we would ask that you consider opening this and voting these changes as discussed.
Should unmute first. So the procedure is we get a motion to reopen this, correct? Brian, as you're drinking?
All right, correct.
So may I have can you now go back off screen share so I can?
Yes, I can.
See. Thank you. So I can see everyone.
Yeah.
Great. May I have a motion to reopen Article 8?
Motion to
moved.
reopen.
Yeah, everybody.
All righty, all together now. Okay, Jill,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Stephen. Stephen's gone mute. Okay, Denise, aye. So that passes. And now may I get a motion to approve the new Article 8?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second,
Thank you. Jill,
Aye.
Peter.
We
Aye.
have that discussion on it.
Oh, you want to have a discussion on it?
I was just curious what we're spending the 50,000 on.
Okay, so before we, okay, so we will, go ahead, Libby. Sorry.
We pay the community school to manage those programs that Brian mentioned. The tennis programs and the scheduling.
That's where it's coming from, right?
We paid them, so the money that we had given them annually, Chris, was used to support a staff person.
Yep.
And because we have to continue to operate those programs, we're moving the money into town administration so that we can employ somebody to continue that function as needed, because we do have to continue to operate both the tennis program
Okay,
and the
I got it.
management.
All
of
right,
the
the
field.
same deliverable. I
Yes.
probably should have gotten that in your description. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to take the motion is motion to approve the new Article 8, and I'm just going to redo the vote. So Jill,
Aye.
Peter,
aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Denise, I. Thank you. Okay, Brian, next technical amendment, please.
Is in Article 16, and Rick is going to share the screen, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
It's related to the airports. So we had originally they had requested supplemental funding in the amount of $1,501,678 for to Article 20, which was the repair of the fuel farm. We recently got the bids, and while they came within the amount with the supplemental funding, it is very, very close, and they would leave them little room to, if anything, any unforeseen conditions arose during the construction and the repair of the fuel farm. So they have approached us and asked us to increase the supplemental funding from one request from $1,501,000 to $1,901,000. They are proposing to increase the authority to borrow from $300,000 to $700,000. Rick, can you scroll down? So as you'll see, this changes all of the.
Oh, Brian, I have you'll have to give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing this for a second and find the proper version of that.
I got it. So as you can see here, this would change the total in the airport authorization from $26,620,000 to $27,020,000. And also it changes the bottom line total from $35,495 to $35,895. So we would ask for a motion. We would ask for your consideration of reopening and approving the motion, the Article 16 with that technical amendment in it.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to reopen?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a
Second.
Thank you. Stephen?
We have discussion on the motion now, or?
We're gonna reopen it and then we'll have discussion on it.
Okay. Aye.
Thank you. Joanna?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Jill? Joe?
Aye.
Denise, I. Okay, the motion is reopened and now it's open for discussion. Go ahead. Stephen, you had a question?
Yeah, is this the only mechanism for dealing with an overage? I mean, we had, it sounds like we had proposals come in within budget and we're appropriating a significant amount of money, more than what the proposals came in at. It seems odd that we do that now rather than wait for there to be a problem before we address it.
So I don't know that this is necessarily the only mechanism. We could certainly force them to take it out of their operating budget or something like that. If we didn't have this opportunity, they had specifically timed the bids to the timing of annual town meeting in the event we needed to do and they needed a request for additional funding versus timing them to a later date after the town meeting and trying to figure out what to do. I think that in this instance, it's really only a protection against any unforeseen conditions that may arise. We certainly hope there won't be any, and it's a borrowing authorization, which my office would not let them access any more than necessary unless something actually arose that needed to do, should town meeting favorably vote this in. So really the only other mechanism, if this happened after town meeting, would be find it within the operating budget or potentially have to put the project on hold. And I know that I will say that this is kind of a very critical component to the airport being repairing the fuel farm, because they do sell a lot of gas on it, fuel on an annual basis. So I think this is the appropriate way for them to try to do this at this point.
So a couple of things. The contractor knows that this is a critical piece of infrastructure. They also are going to know that there's an additional $400,000 sitting out there if they happen to run in any overages. What's to prevent the contractor from running into some overages?
Well, there's numerous things that would prevent that. We have an engineer who provides construction oversight through the process, and there's a change order process. So the contractor can't just say, "Oh, I ran into a problem and I need $200,000 more," or at all. I mean, any potential change orders have to be proposed, discussed, and approved prior to commencing the work. So, and they have to be approved by the airport and then signed off on by my office. And they have to be agreed to by the engineer that helped design who designed the upgrades and the repairs. So it isn't a scenario, Stephen, where the contractor could just say, I ran into a problem and you owe me more money. There's a process that it has to go through and to be agreed to, that it is an unknown condition or something that would require a change order to pay outside of what the original initial contract amount was. So I do think that there's controls in place that would prevent it unless it was absolutely necessary.
Mhm. And what's the percentage of the total project cost that this $400,000 would be?
I believe it's about 8% total.
Okay. And so the original budgeted amount was with or without a contingency? It was with one, I assume.
There's always a small, they always carry a contingency. So I don't know exactly. This project has gone through more than one round of supplemental funding because it just, the price and the cost has exploded through this project. So, but they have a solid bid right now that they can agree to the contract should this pass. So I don't think we're not at risk of this changing substantially, in my opinion.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It doesn't give me comfort. It does answer all my questions, but it doesn't give me comfort. I mean, we ran into this with the GA building out there several years ago. You know, these projects do have a way of, it's not that there's scope creep, it's that projects do run over budget. And we've had OPMs and engineers and other people advocating for the town, and they still run over budget. And I think once the money's been allocated, I'm not sure there's anything we're going to be able to do to rein it in later.
Understood.
Joanna?
I have a similar question because I know that the select board tonight is talking about the overage for the projects at, well, the one at the field, right? And
Correct.
so what prevents someone, or is there a mechanism for dealing with that overage on the floor of the meeting? Or is it something like this that could happen in advance?
Well, I think that they're, I mean, if you're specifically referring to Nobodier,
Yep.
there's, without the supplemental funding, we can't even sign the contract for that particular project because I have to have a funding source available for the full value of the contract. So Nobodier is, I think, slightly different. That I know that I'm going to be presenting what the bids and the options to the select board. I don't know what that decision will be made. As far as what would prevent somebody on town meeting floor, I suppose anybody could make an amendment to try to increase it. I don't know that anything can be done to prevent that, but I can tell you that if it doesn't move forward, the contract cannot be signed. So there's nothing, that project can't go forward without the funding. This project could go forward because they do have funding within a very close dollar amount of the actual contract that's been, bids that have been received. So they're slightly different in that respect.
Okay, I wanted to understand the difference. Okay.
Okay.
Other questions? So basically, Brian, with this incremental 400,000, which is, you said approximately 8% of the total cost of the project. So that makes me assume that the contingency has been used up, if you will, as to why they're looking for another 8%.
It's
So
been
came in where the contingency has basically been already used, if you will, used up or accounted for.
Yes.
Okay. So there's no contingency left on the contract at this point without this 8%.
There's not enough to give even me comfort that we would, with the project. So no, there's very little left.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
So looked at it another way, Brian, is 400,000 or 8% sort of a typical contingency? And so you're just sort of building that back in, or
It can be anywhere.
Is there some science for the $400,000 number?
That's the number the airport requested. It can be anywhere typically between 5 to 10% of the project cost.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thanks.
Joanna, sorry.
When the airport requested this amount, was there a specific reason? Like, because we know that the, lumber prices have all gone up. Do they feel that this is enough? Is there a chance that this is not going to be enough?
I know that they worked very diligently with the engineer and came to a number that all of the parties involved that understand the project feel is a number that they're comfortable asking for, and would, if an unforeseen condition arose, would give them the ability to complete the project. So I do rely on the engineer and the airport to give me the number that they believe they need to get the project done. Now, if something happened and we had an unforeseen condition that was more, then we would have to find it in their budget for the project to continue forward if it went above that. But I believe that they're confident that they will not need, they hope they won't need it, but they're confident that if anything happened, that this is the outer limit of what could possibly be needed.
Mm-hmm. And is the 8% in keeping with the other overages from the other bids that have been coming in high or under what we?
Well, I mean, contingencies can range anywhere on a project, depending on the project, between 5 and 10%. We usually construction projects can carry between 5 and 10%, depending on the complexity of the project. So this is within the range that is normally accounted for in the engineer's estimates.
Okay.
Thank you, Joanna. Anyone else? Okay, in which case, may I have a motion, please?
Motion
Motion to it.
accept.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Start with Stephen.
No.
Joanna,
No.
Peter,
Yes.
Jill,
Yes.
Joe,
Aye, yes.
Chris,
Aye.
Denise, I. Count is 5-2. Okay, thank you. And then, Brian, my understanding is that tonight will be the discussion with the select board in respect of the Nobodere Farm. And so therefore, there's no technical amendment available yet. And does that mean we would be Saturday morning looking at a potential technical amendment prior to the start of annual town meeting?
Libby, I believe so, correct? Depending on what the select board
Yeah,
does.
I'm trying to remember how we've done this before, because sometimes there's just not time to get to you beforehand and it just goes on the technical amendment sheet. But hopefully we'll know what the direction is tonight after tonight's meeting, and we can let you know, and you could have a quick, hopefully 5 minutes. The kind of problem is I have to get 500 copies of these technical amendments for town meeting, and I'm not going to have time to do that at 8:30 on Saturday morning. So I might have to just do it and hope that you're agreeable, but I suppose if you're not, you don't put it forward, and either we put it forward or we just tell people we're not doing that one.
Okay. So we will know after the select board meeting tonight, whether the select board is going to continue to pursue it, or if they're just going to wait on this project because of just the crazy cost of lumber.
Yeah.
And then secondly, so if they decide to wait on the project, the point is moot and we can just be 9 o'clock at the annual town meeting. Otherwise, we should be there at 8:45 to do one last quick technical amendment meeting prior to the start of annual town meeting. That would be my understanding. Is that correct?
That sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Denise, there is one more technical amendment. It's that planning board one.
Oh, that's right.
It's Article 46. They're simply adding a phrase. This zoning change shall not take effect until March 1st, 2022.
Okay, so
It was a planning board motion.
and
so-
we endorsed it, correct?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so I guess we have to reopen our endorsement and re-endorse it to be. May I have a motion to reopen our motion on?
Motion to reopen.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Stephen,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Jill,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Denise, I. Is there any discussion on that phrase? in which case
What is the larger context of the article?
it's a bunch of zoning changes. There's like
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
20 of them in there.
It's zoning map change R2 and LUG2 to VR, Osprey and Tatimo Way and Hummock Pond Road.
Okay, so it's just changing the phrase in the
It's just,
proposed article.
it's adding the phrase, the zoning change shall not take effect until March 1st, 2022.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Joe. Any other questions or comments? Okay, may I have a motion? And the motion would be that we endorse the planning board's motion.
Don't move.
Thank you.
Second,
Thank you. Stephen?
Aye.
Joanna?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Peter?
aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Denise, aye. Thank you, Libby. And then in respect of our next meeting then will be Saturday morning, and I will let you know as soon as I know whether we're having a technical amendment meeting at 8:45 prior to annual town meeting. And then one other point about the annual town meeting is I will be making a motion after Sarah finishes reading all the articles. And the order in which I'm going to ask for my motion to review the articles will be 90, 38. Brian's going to call 8 and 10, because if 90 and 38 pass, then we need to discuss 8 and 10, and then 97. So that will be the order, and I'll repeat it. 90, 38, 8, 10, 97. Anybody, Libby or Brian, do you want to add any commentary to that?
I would only add that with respect to 90, I think there's not necessarily unanimity as to doing 90 first. I think there's general agreement potentially for taking it out of order, but Brian had that as a what did you call it, Brian? A positional thought.
A recommendation, but it's.
Yeah, it has to do with budgetary issues and sort of thinking that if 90 happens, then what happens? If 90 passes, what's the like trickle effect? And we're trying to sort of trace it back to, would it be best, what order would be best to do these out of order articles in? So I would let Brian explain that. And again, it is a recommendation. It's not a, we must do it like this kind of a thing. But Don and Jason might want to comment. But Brian, do you want to quickly summarize the recommendation?
So the thought that I had when Libby asked me to put some type of recommendation together was that, in my opinion, when I put this together, Article 38 was partially born out of the fact that Article 90 existed, because at least the way that I see it. And we've made, comments and observations on why Article 38 is not necessarily the way to go to deal with affordable housing. But when I was thinking this through and making this proposal to the town manager, I thought if we deal with Article 90 first, if it's voted down, then then Article 38 in some respects becomes less important, because we can move forward and continue to deal with it and not risk losing we won't have even less short-term rental money that would be able to be allocated across every spectrum. So I made the proposal that I thought that 90 should be done first, then Article 38. We have to call Articles 8 and 10 because Article 38 will impact Article 8 and 10, depending on the outcome of that vote. And then 97. As I told Libby, the town manager, this morning, I'm not married to a particular order. That was my thought and a recommendation to the town manager. Article 90 certainly could be taken after Article 10. I'm not seriously vested to any way, but that was the recommendation that I made to her in respect to how I saw this, how I initially saw this.
And my logic in discussing this yesterday with Libby and Brian was that if 90 passes, the town will have less short-term rental income. So we should know that up front. Secondly, if 38 passes, the town will have less affordable or less short-term rental income that's flexible, let's put it that way. And so to get 90 and 38 done first, so we know what the impact is, and then 8 and 10, which is the funding of the people that are going to, in the office, and then 10 to have the 2 million, those two, if 90 and 38 both pass, then 8 and 10 are not eligible, if you will, anymore. So that's the order. And then 97, just because we're trying to do all the affordable housing topics together. And so that was the logic of, but I'm happy if the community here thinks that there's a better way to do it or another way to look at it that might make more sense for the voters. I'm as Brian said, and Libby, I'm not particularly wedded to this order. This was just, here's the logic of why the order was proposed and why I think it makes sense. So thoughts from the Finance Committee?
Just a question.
Joanna?
If 90 or 38 pass, are you going to recalculate 8 and 10 kind of on the fly? Is that how that's going to go?
So if 90 passes, it won't, calculating the impact for 90 will not be something we could do in that exact time frame. If 38 passes, and I'll give you the two examples that I've used in the discussion with that, not only with Denise, but with Libby. If it passes at the recommended article number in Article 38 at 66, at two-thirds, it would put, based on a $7 million estimate that we're projecting, which is very close to the number that we've actually received to date, it would put a $4.6 million hole in the receipts that we would collect and build the budgets on. And that includes funding the capital in the raise and appropriate funding Article 8.
Mm-hmm.
We could easily make a motion to, the first thing, if it would pass and put the money for from rooms occupancy into the stabilization, the first recommendation would be to eliminate the funding from the two articles for affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
But if it passed at 2/3, there'd still be almost $2.7 million that we would have to figure out what to do with. And that is something that I have told the town manager and the finance committee chair that I would not be prepared to make those motions on town meeting floor. It would require a special town meeting to do.
So if either of those two things pass, we can't do 8 and 10 and it will require a special town meeting.
If 90 passes, we can do 8 and 10.
Okay.
It's not, 90 is not necessarily it will not create an unbalanced budget immediately because we actually will have to wait through the entire fiscal year.
Okay.
If Article 38 were to pass, depending on the percentage level it passed, and if it passed effective July 1st of 2021, then yes, we would have to could make changes at the meeting. But depending on the level it passed at, we may have to have a special town meeting to be able to fully make the changes necessary to balance the budget. And that would have to be done before December when we set the tax rate.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thanks. Jill, you had your hand up?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure we're not just going to have those four at the same time, right? We're going to include 23, 24, 97. These are all going to be done at the same time?
No, it would be 90, 38, 8, 10, and 97.
Oh, and 90. I didn't hear you say 97. Okay. But what about the trust fund 23 and 24?
Well, Article 20.
Those will already have happened.
Oh, this is going to be after that?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. But you're holding back on 8.
We'll do effectively all the financing ones first, the
Gotcha.
little ones
Yeah.
that we usually vote on block and no one calls. And then after that, we will move on to the ones that are called.
Yeah.
That's why Brian would be calling 8 and 10, because normally they would just get passed in the number 1 to 31.
Yeah.
So that's why
That
they
makes sense.
call 8 and 10.
Yeah, I guess just for me personally, I don't really care about the order. I think they're going to be amendments potentially. I mean, I don't know. I'm not speaking to the authors of those of 38 or 90 or 97, but if they're amendments, that changes everything again. So I'm not sure. I think it really matters the order because we just don't know what the moderator is going to allow if there are amendments at all. So, but I think it's a good plan to put them together. I like the idea of the debate coming together. I think it'll simplify things. So well done.
Thank you. Peter?
Yeah, are there any, I guess Libby would be the one in this, are there any implications by the people that write the articles about the order we put them in? And could they, if something gets defeated because we moved it forward, could somebody challenge that?
We're going to be voting on this. It is ultimately subject to the moderator's final approval, but town meeting will vote on whether or not these articles should be taken out of order. And it's a happenstance of town meeting that things move around like this. So I don't think they could come back and say, you wrecked our article because you moved it to the beginning.
Can somebody make an amendment to move or make a motion to move the article to a different place?
That's what we're talking about here. Denise is going to
No,
make that motion.
No, I understand that. I'm not stupid. What I'm trying to figure out here, can somebody who's in the audience make a motion to move an article back or forward?
Oh, yes, they can move an article out of order. They can make a motion to do that. And typically the moderator asks town meeting if they want to do that or not. And again, ultimately she would have the final call, but somebody could conceivably do that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
That would be quite the scenario where we spend the first hour just moving motions around. Peter.
Could be.
I would think it's possible. I think Peter's raising a
Yeah,
good
no,
point.
I'm just, trying to imagine what's going to be a difficult town meeting to begin with and how much more difficult it could get. So
Just preparing you, Denise.
This is
Preparing
gonna
all
take
of
us
us.
today.
You really do
Right,
need to
all of it.
have a kind of a valid reason. And I want mine done now is,
I want to go home. Yeah, exactly. My dog needs me. So, yeah.
I have
Okay.
an 11 o'clock tea time.
I'm hoping you mean 11 o'clock on Monday, Joe.
Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Any other observations or comments? In which case, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved. Moved.
Thank you. And the roll call. Stephen,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jill,
Hi.
Joe.
Madam Chair,
Aye.
What?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think Don tried to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dawn.
Oh,
I
I
apologize.
thought we had one more thing, was for Article 38, if we need to amend it. What are we amending it to? Did I miss?
no, Dawn, I don't even think we got there. So it's a good thing that you raised it. I think
That's why I'm here. I was like, did I miss the discussion?
Well, that's what I said, but I don't know if they're planning to amend anything, is he?
No, it was suggested that because of the impact it will have on the budget, that I should make an amendment to go to 25% rather than 2/3.
And to start a year later as well, because that was some of the earlier discussions when we discussed it the first time around in FinCom, way back in March.
I mean, I'm open to anything. I'm looking for suggestions, but if it seems like it's going to pass and it's going to do that much damage to our budget, I think we should try an amendment. And I'm willing to make that motion. But I want to let Sarah know at 2 o'clock.
So that's why you want 91st, right?
I don't know if it makes a difference. I think that people will have their preconceived ideas of which one they're going to vote for, but I'm happy to go along with Brian's recommendation.
Okay.
Joanna?
I thought that one of the reasons that 38 was potentially an issue was that the money is not as flexible as other money would be.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So reducing it or delaying it, does that negate the argument that we made that it's not a good funding source for the Affordable Housing Trust?
Dawn?
I mean, I don't think that it does. Because I think that argument is still there. They won't be very accessible funds. You always have to go to town meeting to take them out. However, I think that we need to have something ready in the event that it really looks like it's going to pass at 2/3. I mean, I know it's going to be a little bit hard to tell, but it really worries me that if it passes at 2/3, it's an issue.
Joanna, and then Stephen, and then Joe. was the
So
order.
Denise, my question to you about this particular one is that, are you going to explain to the audience why that issue, that this is not a flexible funding mechanism and therefore it's complicated in terms of supporting affordable housing? Like, is somebody going to explain that to everybody before we get into the debate?
Yeah, I think that, well, when it's open for discussion, either myself or Brian, we can agree that offline, Brian. And
Sure.
explain, look, this money is just going to be held hostage for years, basically. And the Affordable Housing Trust's biggest issue is being able to move swiftly and flexibly. And this is opposite of that. So, yeah, so either Brian, you and I can chat on Friday and decide who gets to leap up and make that comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Stephen, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that 25% is still an unpalatable figure for me. And I think if you reduce it, the further you reduce it, the more it sounds like an easy decision for voters who haven't been in these discussions where we've been talking about exactly what the impact is going to be on our budget. So, so I would, for that reason, I'd say I'd rather keep it at 2/3, where it might be easier for people to understand that large a sum of money is going to be problematic.
That makes sense. Joe, you also raised your hand, I think.
Yeah, I was just actually going to suggest or ask and then suggest what you said you and Brian would do, is that it seems to me that, we voted not to adopt on this article, and I'm not sure if the select board has made any particular public comment, but it's a nice idea, but it's a terrible structure. And I think that we ought to tell the town that, we all support affordable housing, but this is not the way to do it. And it's very inflexible in the sense of using a stabilization fund, and it blows a hole in the budget. So.
Well, I think that's why
So it's-
Don's
so it's-
bringing up
so
maybe
it's-
moving the date. So if you move the date, then, you can't say it's going to blow a hole in the budget. We also don't know the implications from a lot of these things. So.
No, I mean, not to rehash the discussion we had months ago, but even if you move the date, it still has the same problem just on the following year's budget. It doesn't solve anything.
Well, and the whole stabilization fund is just, it has handcuffs on the money. I mean, it's just a terrible way to try to fund affordable housing. So.
Okay, well, I don't want to get into the debate either personally, because this was not a unanimous vote. But, Don, I'm also sensitive to, we don't want to blow a hole in the budget. Okay. So moving the date, you think if you think people are really going to vote for this, I mean, I don't have a feel for people voting for it personally.
Dawn, go ahead.
I didn't think that this had a real chance of passing with all of the other things that have been implemented and with the recommendation that came from FinCom. But then a well-respected real estate broker put out support of it. I think
Yeah.
yes.
I saw that.
I saw that too.
So it just, I'm not saying that I want to jump up and make an amendment, but I thought it might be wise to have some kind of a plan. And if you think that makes it so it won't get voted down, then I understand that argument as well. And well, I guess if it passes as is, we'll have to call a special town meeting.
It's not easy. It's not an easy topic. Jason, any thoughts?
I think you guys are right on. Talking to the Affordable Housing Trust, they said it's going to be, so let's say this passes, whether it's 25% or 2/3, they have to go to town meeting in the future and say, we can't really tell you what we're going to use this money for, but just trust us. Just pull it out of the stabilization funds. We can't really negotiate until we have it. So that's putting them at they think it's going to be hard to get the money out at 2/3.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, I mean, I just don't know what, I personally don't know. I agree with Stephen that if it stays at 2/3, it has a good chance of being defeated. And being defeated is the most, especially with the town and the select board's commitment to funding affordable housing. And, it's 16 million plus with what the articles are today. And that's so much better than has ever been. And so with that, I'm hoping that we can make that case to the voters on Saturday. And then this article, say, thank you for considering it, but it's got so many flaws that it really doesn't help solve the problems that the Affordable Housing Trust has. The challenge, as Dawn point out, the person who wrote the article is on the Affordable Housing Trust. So that was, or at least the document that I saw floating around, the person who is in favor of it. So anyway. Yep, okay. I'll stop that.
If you guys don't want it to pass, then you probably shouldn't amendment to make it more palatable to the voters.
Correct. To Stephen's point. Okay.
Okay, good feedback.
I don't think we helped you, Dawn, but good feedback. Good feedback for leaving me exactly where I was when we started this meeting. Okay, then. We got through everybody but me saying aye to an adjournment. I don't think we need to rerun that count, and we'll be joining together again in 13 minutes, except for Joanna, who's going to not be with us. So, okay, everyone. Thank you. See you in a
All
little
right,
bit.
see you all later.
Bye.
Thank you.